Let's give it a second to see if it is going live inside the Facebook group. Give us 1 minute. It's the fun in-between dance that we call. Okay, we are live. Thank you so much. We are here live today, and we are going to be joined with the incredible Llyane Stanfield to speak about her results in working with the EZS method. And I want to start out just by having you share a little bit about us. Tell us a little bit about what you do, who you work with, and why you're so passionate about what you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me, Naz. I really appreciate it. So I am a French language conversation coach, and it's a different thing. Coaching in language is really new, and a lot of people connect coaching to life coaching, and that's nothing to
Mm,
do with it. However, most of my clients are telling me that not only did they learn French conversation, but they learned how to learn in general, other languages
mm,
in general, generally speaking. And so, because the way we do anything is the way we do everything. And so, if there's something that is changed inside of, learning French, it's going to spill into the life as well. And I work with jet setting professionals, so a lot of very busy professionals, and I have a busy life, and so that's why I make myself flexible for them. I understand where they're coming from, and the lifestyle is there
yeah.
for all of us. And I help them to have confident conversations, regardless of their language level, the knowledge level, which is huge because and nobody's really doing it. And I get a lot of back and forth, and that's impossible. We have to do this first, and then we have to go. So, but you were so on the same page with me, as you're like, that's just so not true. I mean, you can have a few
Mhm.
words, you know what to do with them. It's there. So that's why I'm so passionate about it, because so many people have spent their lifetime sometimes. Not only I've worked with PhDs. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine the amount of time that they spent and the amount of money that they spent just to learn this language, and
Yeah.
they can't use it correctly. So yeah, it's life changing for them, and for me, I just get to make a lot of friends, and for a long time. Um, Not that I work long time with them, but they come back and I want to refresh, and so it's
Yeah.
community, which I love.
I love that. And I think something really powerful that you may not have shared here, but I know you and I have talked about is how many people really leverage the French language as more than just like something they're learning. It's something that they're becoming. It's something that truly becomes a part of who they are. And opens a new door to a life they maybe didn't have before. And I think a lot of times we forget that everything we do becomes a tool for something so much bigger. And I know that was a big thing as well that we noticed.
Exactly, and I like to make this comparison. Imagine you're writing a love story, and
Mhm.
instead of actually thinking of the words that you're writing to your lover, you're looking at the pen and you say, "Hey, look how pretty!" Because
Uh,
so many people are engrossed in learning the tool instead of just using it as a tool for their self-expression,
yes.
self-development, friends, changing lives, travel, and so on.
So
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us all here. What I want to do now is kind of jump into what led you to working with me and reaching out about the EZS method. Take us through that a little bit.
Yeah, so I started this business. I had other businesses before, but this particular one I started in 2011, and I started with Marie Forleo,
Mm,
where I was introduced to the Blue Ocean strategy. And so, but before I actually even had her course, I created my website, my business as a method. So
mm,
I like from the very beginning, I just said, not that I want to sell it or anything, but it's just
yeah.
it is different. I've always done this my entire life, really. And so I thought this has to be this way. And so it's Joëlette method. Why Joëlette? A lot of, things like fun, things like that. So, but since then, I was never able to actually articulate
Mm,
my emotion. I actually created. So I knew what I have to do. Most of my clients knew it after working with me, but I wasn't able to articulate to people who actually were maybe looking for something like that.
yeah.
So that was huge. And also I'm also an actress, and so the fact that you're using the Netflix, effect, and it's so true. And I was like, wait a second, I actually do already have videos. I already have some kind of a series, not using in that way.
Yep.
Sure. But that was and so it's a combination between positioning my brand, which
Yep.
was always huge for me, and I never was able to handle it properly. I didn't feel that I was expressing what is properly to people who didn't know it. And of course, messaging. So a
Yeah.
combination of all this. Yeah.
I love that. And I think you touched on some really important things that I've worked with people who have been in business for 2 decades and people who are newer in business, but the same thing remains the same, that especially as innovators, we oftentimes struggle to communicate the true gravity of what we do. And it's like, I call it proximity genius. We're often so close to our own method and what we're doing that one, it becomes difficult to communicate, but also it's tough as innovators. It's very difficult to communicate something that's not in existence right now because people don't understand things the way something that, oh, this has been done a million times the same way could be understood. So I think it's such a powerful thing and such an important conversation that you brought up, is the fact that having methodology and then having messaging that allows you not just to be able to say, hey, here's what I do, but how I do it. And that's the innovation in what it is such a powerful tool. And it's one of my, obviously my favorite things to do, because it makes the biggest difference in really the results that we provide, which leads us to our next question of, so far, having worked together, what are the results that you have that you're the most excited about? What are you seeing, whether that's directly or indirectly, how it's shifting how you're doing your business?
So the measurable thing now that, well, I actually went to a cycle and I looked at my numbers. So the measurable thing that I'm excited about, beyond belief, is that I talked to 140 people,
Wow.
and I was struggling for that a lot. And
Yeah.
as in, like, people were coming because, oh, new method, they were really researching me a lot, and then bam, they were coming and paying out of nowhere. But I was like, okay, so I make that actually sustainable, because it just can't continue this way. And so
Yeah.
the measurable one, but the non-measurable, that I guess non-measurable, like, um is the fact that now I actually have a way that I am confident, that is the positioning of my brand, the
Yes.
positioning, and the fact that, not even mean, because I don't want to convince with it at all, but just like I
Mm.
use, like, this is there's so much of what the way we think, so such a big match, that that's what I want to give, that feeling to people who are the right people, to be attracted by something, that the what I do and the way I do it. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I think, again, some of the key things that I heard from you, and I know you and I have talked about, was you had an audience. It wasn't that you didn't know how to do that. It was getting that audience to move, right? And you mentioned like having 140 conversations is no small feat, and having people getting to a place of reaching out to you and moving to that next step is so important. And I think oftentimes that's what happens, is when we don't have a system or a strategy that's duplicatable. And you said it yourself, like you had clients coming in, you just didn't know where they were coming from or what was happening, and you couldn't duplicate that process. And I think it's one of the things as entrepreneurs we don't talk about enough, is the fact that there's so much more confidence and comfort in safety and knowing how we can predictably do something over and over again. And the more we can recognize the process and what does and doesn't work, the easier it becomes, because now we can eliminate the things that don't work very quickly and focus on the things that do. And that's one of the things I know you and I talked about, where you're like, well, I'm getting a lot of people into the conversations, but I need this. And so we were able to really diagnose quickly where our opportunity points were to solve for the things that were coming up, even through the process. Because I think that's an important thing that a lot of people don't understand, is it's not a perfect science of like, we just turn something on and everything is perfect. It's,
Mm.
you turn it on, you find where, okay, this is working, here's where I need to optimize a little bit better, and here's what I'm going to do next. And you get to a point where once you've optimized all of those things, then yeah, now you have something that does work, and it is like a perfect science in that sense. But I think it really is important to know that like we can diagnose and understand where the problem lies, solve for that problem, and then optimize as we go forward. So I love that you shared that.
And another thing before you go further with
Yeah.
the maybe next question, I don't know, is that the strategy. So I've had marketing. So I started with Marie
Mhm.
Forleo, and I kept redoing that program to rehash my business every year. And so, but I always looked for processes and strategy. I had a course, but that coach actually went into another industry. And so I was like, okay, I need to structure my business, and the business grows. And so you need to structure and restructure and remassage it. And processes are huge, because I really don't want to. I'm an artist, but I mean, seriously, I mean, this has to work like a machine. And so,
Absolutely. And I think that's a key thing, right? We want our business to work as a machine. I always joke and I tell people we want to get to the point where our business is boring. We want it to be where it's just kind of operating in that sense. And I think so often we don't get to the point of where that happens because we can't identify where those are. And so we talk a lot about like data backed and really looking at the data that's coming in rather than us just saying, well, it feels like this piece isn't working. So I love that you mentioned that it's got to work like a machine, because at a certain point, that's what we want, is we want our business to run like a machine so that we're not always needing to be dependent on trying to figure out what's happening. So I always like to ask this question, because I know that if somebody else is listening to this, they're maybe going through something similar. If there was anything that maybe you hesitated or almost held you back from working with me, what was that?
So for me, it was like coup de foudre. It was like love at first sight, simply because we're doing so many things so
Mm,
similarly. And I was looking for strategy, systems, and what do I do with all this content that I have?
yeah.
Tons of content. And so for me, was more researching you a little bit, so that
Mm,
I don't get into. And no, I mean, I really didn't have anything really, because yeah, you spoke my language. I think that's what you want from a friend to say. And I really, really, you did. It was like Netflix, acting. Those are my techniques. It was like, yes, I can do this. Blue ocean strategies. What are you
yeah.
looking for? Systems. Yes. Okay. So everything was there from the beginning. For me, was more of, like doing my due diligence,
Yeah.
and also finding the time, because I know
Mm,
that I knew that I had to focus my energy and time in the course. And so I thought, okay, when is the time I actually can, open it, so that I can do it properly, and get the best results that I can get in the amount of time. So yeah.
yeah, no, I agree. I think that's an important factor, is that oftentimes we do have to realize, and I tell people this all the time when they start to work with me, I was like, it's not easy. And it doesn't mean that it's very labor intensive. It just means that there's work involved in it. And oftentimes we have to be in the right mindset. We have to be in the right state in order to really make that work. So I love that you understood that about yourself ahead of time and made decisions accordingly to that.
And also the business, though, right? So it had to support me through
Yeah.
the course, so that I can put much more time in something else rather than what I was doing before.
True.
So
Yeah, that's true. I love that. So
yeah.
let's talk about a little bit about going forward, and what are you most excited about working on in the next phase as we're solving these problems. What are the next things that you're the most excited about or that you're anticipating as you move forward?
So right now I have a lot of people, and I have to sift through and kind of marry the way that what I worked, or what works for me before,
Mhm.
with what I'm adding now. Also, I understand that needs to be a couple of cycles, or even more possibly, where people are understanding now my approach, and then they get to have enough information to have the questions answered, so that they can jump on board. So I understand that there's was gonna be a lag, which I expected. That's the reason I had to
Mhm.
calculate when I'm starting. But for the future, is just for me, yeah, to fine tune this thing, and to have more of the strategy, because I continue working with you, and I'm so excited. More of the strategy, more of the, yeah, for me right now it feels like, okay, so now this is who I was, this is, now I understand how it's supposed to be, or what I should add.
Yeah.
Now how do they blend? That's the word, to
Yes.
them.
I think that's an important thing. And I always tell people that's the thing about strategy. I don't do coaching. I always tell people I'm a strategist. And the importance in that is that I don't want you to come into my world and just become a version of me. I want you to be able to develop the systems and the strategies that are really going to be based on you, because that's
Yeah.
what creates sustainability. And nobody looks the same. None of the processes and systems and strategies we create are needing to look exactly the same. So it is about finding the balance between knowing the strategy and understanding your your goals and where you want to go and developing those accordingly. With that being said, if someone was on the sidelines or on the fence and saying, gosh, I think I want to work with her, but I'm not sure, what would you say to someone who is maybe thinking about working with me?
So, like I said at the beginning, for 12 years, I haven't found someone to actually help me create my blue ocean strategy, my
Mm,
blue ocean, the market of one of
yeah.
my market. And so you need this because otherwise you're competing on price
Yep.
or quantity. And so that's Walmart. I don't know. A lot of people work that way,
Hmm.
but I'm a solopreneur. I'm like a tiny business. I love it this way. I don't really want to hire a lot of people. But for volume, you really need a lot of people. And it's another, I guess, I mean, there's something for everyone, but
Hmm.
that even Walmart had to create their own blue
Method. Yeah.
ocean and method. And so, and then now they're copied all over the place. So um, and you need a strategist on your team. There's no other way to work. It doesn't matter how good of a mindset you have, how good of a creator you are, and also how good of at what you do.
Yeah.
If someone is not beside you to see with a cold eye, and that's the best part, the cold eye, the
Yeah.
objective eye. How is your business really doing? Just like you said before, I mean, it's a feeling or is the numbers, right? And
Yeah.
even I'm a numbers girl as well. And so I have my spreadsheets and I forget looking there. And so I was like, oh crap, I forgot, so how, and you need someone who's helping you become the most you that you can be.
Hmm. Oh, I love that. And I love that you said that. I just want to celebrate you and celebrate all of my clients because I do truly work with people who have something that is so incredible. Like I'm not making someone incredible. They're incredible. I'm just helping make that very known and understood and immediately resonant with their audience. And it's just such a gift to be able to be a part of that because you had something amazing and incredible, and helping you be able to say that to others and then understand it immediately is just such an amazing opportunity to watch and see because so many people need you. So many people need what it is that you're doing and all of my clients are doing. So it's incredible. That methodology really does shift how we do things. It encompasses your voice and your ability to be able to share that and be able to communicate it in a way that other people understand as well.
And let me say that as well, because said by you, because you're doing it, sure. But I'm telling everyone who's here to and watching and or listening, is it's so close to a miracle what Nas does, because I'm looking at other businesses, in our meetings, and how she actually gets the golden nugget and brings it up, and then the person who made it was like, yeah, that's it. And she was actually, or yeah, she was actually making it, doing it, and not realizing that that is what.
Mm,
And so just seeing so many businesses that we have in the meetings just become so unique under,
yeah.
like, in a few minutes when Naz is just bringing up some points. It's very close to miracle. I
Oh,
really am. I'm honestly
oh,
saying that. I really love just observing how that happens. Like, how are you doing that? It's a gift. It really is.
oh, well, thank you. That literally struck such a chord with me because it's such a beautiful journey to watch, and I'm just so thankful to be a part of it. And I appreciate you being here with us and sharing your story as well. If somebody wants to learn more about what you do and your method and how they can possibly work with you, where would you send them if you want to share with our audience where they can find more about you?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Naz. I really appreciated all this journey that we had together so far and what continues. I really, really love it. So thank you. And so if anyone wants to know more about my method and talk to me, they can go to confidentconversationclub.com. And that's where the journey starts.
Perfect. And we'll put that in the notes as well. And for those of you who are listening, we hope that you enjoyed this spotlight. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the EasyS method, again, you can always go to easyesleads.com. And if you're ready to take your business to the next level and learn how to apply the EasyS method so you can create a market of one and truly become the innovator in your industry and get your leads to sell themselves, go to easyesleads.com/call to book your growth optimization call. But until next time, thanks for joining us.